Next part, which is a component of nutrients and their functions lecture, is carbohydrates. It's part two of this topic. Carbohydrates actually are a group of organic compounds which contain the elements of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, which is generally in the ratio of 1 ratio 2 ratio 1. Or we also define carbohydrates as polyhydroxyaldehydes and ketones and their derivatives. So all these are included in carbohydrates in the category of carbohydrates. However, this criteria has been widened to include different compounds which also contain nitrogen and sulfur. And the compounds that do not conform to strict 1 ratio 1 of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Because of this, carbohydrates are no longer exclusively thought as hydrates of carbon only, but they are grouped in a more general category as polyhydroxyaldehydes or polyhydroxyketones and their derivatives. So that is the basic, I mean, introduction of carbohydrates. Now it can be divided into three large groups. We all know about this grouping. That is monosaccharides, oligosaccharides or disaccharides, and polysaccharides. And monosaccharides are the least complex of the carbohydrates, and they do not yield simpler carbohydrates on hydrolysis. They are building units for the more complex oligosaccharides and polysaccharides. Monosaccharides are simple sugars. The important member of these carbohydrates are glucose, fructose, and galactose. And if we talk about disaccharides or oligosaccharides, the disaccharides, they are also relatively simple, being made up to two or more monosaccharides, which are held together by glycosidic linkage. They yield two monosaccharide molecules upon hydrolysis. Disaccharides are compound sugars which are composed of two monosaccharides. The important number of members of this carbohydrate group is include lactose, sucrose, and maltose. Third category is polysaccharides. The polysaccharides are complex molecules of high molecular weight, which are composed of a large number of monosaccharides joined through glycosidic linkage. They yield many monosaccharide molecules upon hydrolysis. These are the most abundant carbohydrates found in nature, and they serve as reserve food substances and as structural components of plants. The most important member of this carbohydrate group include starch, glycogen, cellulose, dextrin, and insulin. So what are the different sources of carbohydrates? Carbohydrates are available from cereals and byproduct of cereal crops. The abundance of carbohydrates in nature is relatively more. The sources of different type of carbohydrates are like for if we talk about starch, rice, wheat, maize, bajra, potato, beet, carrot, etc., etc. These are the sources of starch. And for glucose, apple, grape, sugarcane juice, date palm juice, these are the sources for glucose. In case of sucrose, sugar and sugar beet, they both are, or some other, are the sources of sucrose. Cellulose is being obtained from vegetables, watermelon, custard apple, etc. Milk is a rich source for lactose. And for glycogen, liver of bugs, muscles of animals, these are the sources of glycogen. Uh, so what is the importance in nutrition, or what are the functions of carbohydrates? Let's talk about it. The primary function of carbohydrates is structural support of living plants. Second function is carbohydrates. They act as a fuel of living body. That is, the heat and energy is produced on its combustion. Thirdly, when the intake of carbohydrates is more than what is required by the body, the excess is utilized for the transformation of fats or even for the carbon skeleton of proteins. And fourth point is carbohydrates provide the energy to the body. And fifth point is the carbohydrates having cellulose, they remove the constipation. So 1 gram carbohydrates, it produces about 4.2 kilocalories of heat energy. So that was all about carbohydrates. Thank you very much.